Okay, wrestling fans, and this is only for wrestling fans, please, if you're not a pro wrestling fan, just go to another video. Pro wrestling fans, I want to discuss with you Shawn Michaels no-selling the big Randy Orton punt on Raw. And I give credit to Bully Ray, also known as Bubba Ray Dudley, for pointing this out, that he no-sold the punt. First, he no-sold the RKO from Randy Orton on Raw, and he no-sold the punt. Meaning, now, when I say no-sold, he did sell it, but he got to his feet. Shawn Michaels had to just fucking end Raw, getting to his feet. Yes, he was punished. Yes, he was injured and hurt, but he was still Shawn Michaels and could get to his fucking feet. After we've seen Christian laid out, we've seen Ric Flair laid out. Have we seen Drew McIntyre laid out from a punt yet? But we saw Drew collapse to a fucking RKO. But Shawn has to put himself over in the subtlest little ways. In fact, until Bubba Ray's tweet about it, and of course Bubba Ray does the show with Dave LaGreca, who I've spoken to, but very, very, very conniving. And this is typical behavior of Shawn Michaels. The guy who said, I'm retiring at WrestleMania 26. Had to close the fucking show against The Undertaker. And guess what, folks? When the Saudi Arabian sweet money came in, the sweet Saudi money, Shawn Michaels was there with his bald head in that clusterfuck of a match with Triple H. And somewhere in my video archives, you can see Triple H got a receipt, my video about that match. So Shawn can't wrestle AJ Styles, he can't wrestle Daniel Bryan, he can't wrestle Roman Reigns or anyone else, but he can wrestle Kane and the fucking Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, coming out of retirement for that. But this goes back, folks, to 1995. Shawn Michaels supposedly gets in this bar fight with these military men. Supposedly, according to him, it's 11 of them, and depends on who you ask. Of course, there was other wrestlers there, interestingly, that they didn't defend Shawn. And what does Shawn do? He goes on pay-per-view, and he vacates the Intercontinental title. He hands it over to Shane Douglas, or Dean Douglas at the time, and Dean has to lose promptly to Razor fucking Ramon. So, could have Shawn lost a 2-minute squash match? Could have they worked an angle or a storyline into that, where Shawn could barely walk and Shane took advantage of him and put him in one move or one submission hold or something and gotten the victory for the IC title? Of course they could. But Shawn Michaels, looking out for Shawn Michaels, and in this case his buddy Razor Ramon, doesn't want to lose the title. What about the previous time that he lost the Intercontinental title from that steroid charge? Now, according to Shawn, it was a bogus steroid charge, and I might buy that, but maybe there's more to it. We don't know. WrestleMania 13, Shawn Michaels was supposed to be there and lose to Bret Hart. They were supposed to have this trilogy, according to Bret. And Shawn suddenly can't work because he's got a knee injury. Although he does a nice backflip, right? Didn't Shawn come out to do commentary for that show and do a backflip at one point in WrestleMania or Raw around that time, 1997? Give him Cornette. Give Cornette credit. Jim Cornette pointed it out that Shawn Michaels had that retirement for 4 years because of his back from 98 to 2002. But as soon as WCW was out of business and Vince McMahon owned the remains of the skeleton of WCW, suddenly Shawn is going to wrestle again in WWF, because apparently for 4 years Shawn was getting paid to just sit at home and occasionally do guest manager or general manager things or referee things for WWF. Vince was paying Shawn the whole time, precious little Shawn, because he was afraid Shawn would go to the WCW. But when WCW was out of business, then Shawn figured he'd no longer get the easy paycheck from Vince, and this was before TNA came around, and so Shawn said, oh, gee whiz, suddenly I can wrestle again. So he sat on his ass for 4 years. What about the Christian t-shirt, folks? I started to read Shawn Michaels' book, one of his books, the second one, the thin one, and something to the effect of, Shawn had these like Jesus shirts, these Christian shirts he would wear on Raw. And apparently Vince McMahon said, hey, pal, we have to censor those shirts when we broadcast Raw in foreign countries, Middle Eastern countries, or countries that are non-Christian countries. We have to blur out the shirt. Can you wear a different shirt? And Shawn said, well, hey, why don't we make a insignia, a logo that incorporates, Christianity, the Jesus fish, into the shirt, but it's like a Shawn Michaels-esque design. So Shawn basically said, let's take the Christian fish, teach a man how to fish symbol, and let's kind of re-envision that in order that the logo can be on shirts that play in Middle Eastern countries, but we can sell the shirts and make a profit. Now, did Shawn donate those monies to a church or to a Christian fellowship? Not that I know of. He might have. If he did, good for you, Shawn, but you'll have to do the fucking research, folks. I don't know the answer. The point of the matter is this, folks. At one point in the 90s, during Shawn's routine, if you looked at all his title reigns and said, wow, how did Shawn lose this title? Or how did Shawn lose that title? Pretty much every championship he ever had, like 6 or 7 times, it was a vacation. It was a vacate title thing. Shawn and Steve Austin were the tag team champions, and they had to vacate. So Austin got a different partner, Mick Foley. Dude Love. That's because Shawn couldn't come out to work. So Shawn has a history of not putting people over. And in this situation, at 56 years old, or whatever the hell he is, he's supposed to be a guest. He's supposed to be a trainer for NXT. By the way, he wore like a very dirty hat on Raw. Did you see that NXT hat? It was dirty. It was soiled. It was filthy. It had dust and debris on it. But for Shawn Michaels, basically to ruin the entire thing, who got over in that? Shawn Michaels, because he got up from a punt. Drew McIntyre looks bad. Randy Orton looks bad. Everyone who took the punt and has been knocked out looks horrible. That's your fucking hero. Okay? So I don't want to hear this crap about Shawn Michaels was the greatest in-ring performer of all time. Take that fucking line, flush your ass with it. The acceptable answers from now on are Bret Hart and Ric Flair of the modern fucking era. If you want to go hardcore and old school, say Lou Thesz or say Buddy Rogers, something like that. But for you fucks that think you're so goddamn intelligent to just say that Shawn Michaels was the greatest in-ring performer, fuck your ass with that shit. It's bullshit. Shawn Michaels took and took and took and took. He reminds me of fucking Goldberg. All taking, no giving back. A selfish, spoiled son of a fucking bitch. So whether he sells out his own retirement to wrestle for the Saudi Arabian prince, or he comes up with his idea for his t-shirt that he can sell and cash in on his Christianity, or whether he's no-selling the punt and the fucking TKO, stop believing that Shawn Michaels is a good human being. He's a selfish human fucking being. Now, once upon a time, I was on a plane ride, and Shawn Michaels happened to be on the plane, and I noticed that he helped an elderly woman, put her fucking bags up in the storage department. So I'll give him that when confronted with an old lady with storage bags and suitcases, he helps them put them on the fucking airplane storage container. So I won't take that away from him. But as far as his in-ring activities, as far as his in-ring whatever the fuck, please note how selfish he's been. Mike Messier, the Mike Messier playlist. For you old school wrestling fans, you got the NWA Great American Bash series. I've got a series of those. I've got the Wrestling Memories, the interviews with Randy Couture, all these wonderful things here on the Mike Messier YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody for subscribing and so forth. And please share these wrestling rants. You're welcome to share them. You're welcome to not share them. Do whatever the hell you want. But if you've enjoyed this, share the goddamn thing. MikeMessier.com.